Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and continuing my videos, it's Ultraman, the month of Ultraman, and my first video already went up, which was me going over what got me into Ultraman, what made me fall in love with it, my history with that franchise as a fan, and I thought it was only right that I have to rank, because those of you who checked out my Revice form ranking from tiermaker.com, there is a Ultraman tier maker that is just the main series, no movies included, nothing like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna rank some Ultraman shows today, and luckily I've seen a majority of them because, you know, in the history of Ultraman, even though it's been around for, you know, so long, what, 55 years, the thing is, there's not there's been some gaps. There was a 16-year gap at one point before any shows, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like the franchise itself, but then again there's been mini shows in between and movies and this and that, so there's actually not a lot of main series, but I still love it. And honestly, a majority of these are actually released that you can buy through Mill Creek Entertainment through their website or Amazon. So luckily, when I go over my collection, you will see, and I've talked about it, I have a majority. Actually, I have every single one they've released so far. I'm still waiting for a few more to get announced and released, but I want to rank some of these. Now, I'm not just going to rank them this, that. I'm going to give some brief thoughts on the season, like a quick little like footnote, maybe some, you know, information on what the season is, and also do it some recommendations on what you could a good starting point to get into. I do have a video planned where I'm going to basically go and, you know, give you different options to start if you want to get into Ultraman based on what you are into. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I just passed 500 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will be announcing the more details of the giveaway coming soon. I did tweet about it, but I'm still working out the details on a time frame in which the product comes out and when I'll have it in order to actually do a giveaway. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump over to the tier maker. That's right. Now, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of this stuff in chronological order. I will try to the best of my abilities. I did take some notes because there's a lot of information that, and I didn't want to like ramble too much about them. But I'm gonna start off with Ultraman 1966. Now, because I'm ranking these, I get to be biased. So this is my favorite thing about doing these rankings, even though this is only the second time I've ever done one on the channel anyways. Ultraman 1966, this is not the first Ultra season, obviously, because we had Ultra Q, which kind of introduced us to the kaijus and kaijins and stuff like that. But I'm always going to have a spot in my heart for 1966 Ultraman, mainly because Susumi Kurobi, who played Shin Hayata, is a legend. A legend. And going through and rewatching a lot of stuff, when he showed up as a cameo in any of the other seasons, I lost my shit every time, because I'm just like, he is, to me, when he shows up, it's kind of like when Kenzaki from Blade would show up, you know, in other seasons. And, you know, because I'm a huge Blade fan, but Shin Hayata showing up in other seasons, Ultra 7, I think he showed up in Taro with Leah. Like, anytime he showed up, I was like, and he's still, even in some of the more recent Heisei, Heisei era ones, he would have a cameo, and I'm like, man, this guy is a legend. So I'm going to place Ultraman 1966. You would think after all that, I'm going to put this in A tier. Or no, B. I'm going to give it a B tier just because, well, it introduced us to a lot of, you know, the kaijus and like the fighting and this and that. I think in the overall grand scheme of things, for me, like, I would not go back and rewatch this as frequently as I would a different season, but it's still really freaking good. So I'm gonna try and go in order. Ultra 7. And this is tough for me because I want Ultra 7 from a Showa era. Ultra 7 is one of my favorite Ultraman suit designs from that era. Also taking into consideration how badass Ultra 7 is in the Netflix anime, and then Ultra 7 X just got released on Blu-ray last month, and I had to pick that up. The downside is Ultra 7 X is not on this list. I don't think whoever made this list took into fact like if they did kind of like a reboot or a remake of a season. This is just main seasons. Ultra 7 though, like it's from a continuity standpoint, Ultra 7 is really important if you want to get into Ultraman X and everything else, because everything goes from Ultraman 7. And also going from just a Showa era standpoint, Ultra 7 was dark. It was more serious and dark and thematic tones, and it was good. Now, I do say I like Ultra 7 more than Ultraman 1966. So I'm going to put Ultra 7 in A tier. This is an A tier show. Easy to get into, and it's just like I said, Ultraman is always going to be kind of campy, especially in the Showa era with, practical effects, this and that, but it's still like good show. Ultra 7, you take those practical effects, but you add a little darkness to the story. Oof, it's good. Now, the Return of Ultraman. I'm gonna try and not be too harsh on this, because at the time of everything going on with this, Eiji Tsuburaya passed away. Obviously known as the father of Tokusatsu. He was the co-creator of Godzilla, and he created the Ultraman series, or the Ultra series. That kind of put a lot of change into what they were trying to do with the season, and from a presentation standpoint and everything else. But the Return of Ultraman is a mess. Because it's called Return of Ultraman, but this is where we're introduced to Ultraman Jack. And after doing some research as to why, like after I watched it, I was like, I thought this was Return of Ultraman. I legitimately thought like I had like a wrong show. Like I was like, this is a new Ultraman. This isn't. I'm confused. So, yeah, I looked into it. There's just a lot of production changes and this and that due to Tsuburaya's passing. So I kind of can't fault it too much for that. But at the same time, it was cool. It was cool, but it was a mess. I'm going to have to put that in D tier. Like that's just for me. It just didn't, Ultraman Ace, another cool suit form. This was interesting because two people actually could turn into Ace. So we had a male and a female, and they could actually turn into Ace. Not like in my notes, I literally put, other than that, the season for me wasn't too memorable. And it's true. I really like Ultraman Ace just didn't do it for me. So that's gonna go in E tier. And it's funny because like I actually like the downside of it not being memorable is like last year and early this year I went through and I watched almost all my Blu-rays for Ultraman, and Ace is the one that really didn't leave any like impression on me at all. And it was kind of a dark season too, like, but it just didn't. I don't know. It's not like how Ultra 7 was. Ultra 7 still had really good, story, kind of like Ultra 7, one of my favorites. Ultimate Charo. Okay. So I like the suit. I like the little like the little horns on it. Really cool. It was a really long series. I think at the time when I was going through, I was watching, I was like, this isn't over yet, and I guess it was just a long season. The suit design, which is obviously, like I said, the horns and everything else really cool on it. I like how it's kind of like the shoulder pad, like it's, but the show itself just, it wasn't. They tried to like, I don't know, because I didn't look into the production reasoning. That's not just from my opinion of watching it. They weren't trying to be serious. it's okay not having to be serious, but it's like weird that we get like, oh, serious with Ultra 7. Then we're gonna go to Return of Ultraman. That's not gonna be too serious. Then we're gonna have Ace, which is gonna be, you know, kind of darker. But now we're gonna go to Charo, and it's not. It's gonna be more lighthearted and comedic, and it's just like, you gotta make up your minds. Like, it's like every other season, and I'm like, ah. But like, from an overall season, I justifiably can't give Charo more than a C rating. I really can't. But it's also not as bad as the Return of Ultraman. Leo, on the other hand, it's funny. I didn't see Leo at all until they put out Blu-ray. I never saw Leo before. Honestly, like, unless they were out like on streaming services, because I know Crunchyroll had some, and at the time they don't anymore. And you know, Subaru putting stuff on YouTube. Unless they had the Blu-ray or DVD releases, I didn't see them. So I actually didn't see this until recently, and I was kind of upset because I didn't like this show. Leo's dark. It is dark, but not a spoiler because it's in the first episode. Ultra 7 gets bodied in the first episode, and I was like, what? This is Ultra 7, and like homie got his leg snapped and all this other stuff, and I was like, no. I was like, how are you gonna? But obviously Ultra 7, like his human form, Moriboshi was in the rest of the show in his human form, recuperating. So that was cool. I liked the suit. Like, I like that all red, like with that little, so like that, and just like Charo with the horns. Leo, it's like an upgraded version of that, and I'm like, that looks so good. And I was doing research on it, so I was curious to see like what, like, how popular it was and this and that. It was actually one of the least rated rankings of all of them for viewership, and I was like, wow, but it's really good. And I'm actually gonna put Leo in the B tier because one, it was darker, and that first episode, whew, yeah. I don't. All right, Ultraman 80. I never finished Ultraman 80. Mainly because, or no, wait, Ultraman 80 I did finish. I didn't finish the first time I watched it because I stopped kind of liking it. Halfway through, it was interesting because like I could see the story arcs because I've watched the first half of the show like twice, and I've watched it complete once. So we had a teacher who was Ultraman, and the first half was kind of like a story arc where he's hiding this secret identity from his students because he's also teaching. But we also got one of our first female ultras, which was Yulian, and two of my favorite kaijus of the Showa era. Actually, no, not even just Showa era. In general, from Ultraman are in this, and it's Minasma and Margoto, which is like an ice mammoth mastodon thing, which is so good. Like, if you just want to see what the kaijus look like Minasma and Margoto, just like Google search those, look at them, and you can kind of tell why I like those kaiju so much, because they are cool. And especially Margoto, because that's easily my top 5 Ultraman kaijus of all time. It is. I just love it so much. So after watching Ultraman 80 a second time, it's not bad. Like, taking my biasness of the kaijus out of it, just from, it was interesting having someone with a secret identity hiding it and this and that, because up until then it was always someone who joined whatever the military force that was combat, and this time it was like a teacher. And I'm gonna put 80 in the C tier. Watching it a second time really made me like enjoy it more. So Tiga, we have to talk about Tiga, okay? This Tiga came out like there, like I said before, there's a big gap. There's like a 15-16 year gap, and the gap was after Ultraman 80, and the next one to show up in the mid to late 90s was Tiga, and Tiga is Tiga is a defining and game-changing Ultraman series. Okay, uh, they completely overhauled everything. With they got more CG into it, but they still use a lot of practical effects, and the balance was really nice. Also, there was multi types with Tiga, which was really cool. Um, I vaguely remember. I do believe. I think it was Tiga. I think Tiga. I remember had a dub in the U.S. and like on a Saturday morning dub. But this was around the time that I just started high school, so with sports and everything else, and I didn't really get a chance to watch it. But I do vaguely remember reruns of it like showing up, and then it just kind of like disappeared. I don't even know if it ran completely. But Tiga is a defining, like, this is, you want an entryway into getting into Ultraman. Ultraman Tiga is your best, easiest bet, like, because it it has some nods to previous, iterations, but it's such an isolated and new kickstart of a new generation of Ultraman that Tiga is a good way, and for that, it's getting an A tier. Now we have Dyna. Uh, I I don't understand because Dyna is actually a sequel. It's a direct sequel to Tiga in the same universe, but instead of the themes and how the show was presented for Tiga, Dyna went more comical, and it's watching Dyna kind of bothers me because I'm really hyped for Decker. I am 100% like Dyna has one of the best suit designs, but it just threw me off that it just is. Because like I got them again, Tiga Dyna on DVD that came out, and I was like, oh, I know these two take place one after another. So I watched Tiga, then I watched Dyna right after, and I was just like, it's a direct sequel, and I'm like, oh, I it feels like a completely different show. Not in a bad, not it's not bad, but if you're gonna watch those back to back, do not expect the pacing and everything of Tiga to go into Dyna. So, but Dyna is still a really good show. The suit, I love the suit. That's why I'm like really hyped for Decker. I'm going to put Dyna in B tier, and because I already mentioned Tiga, um, I'm going to talk about Ultraman Trigger. And it's the 25th anniversary of Tiga. Really appealing visual. Everything about it looks so good. The presentation and all that merch. I was trying so hard not to buy all the merch. You guys, like anyone who watches my haul videos and the podcast, I do have a lot of Ultraman stuff. It hurt me to not get all the Ultraman Trigger merch. It really did, but I was able to avoid it. The downside is it was a slow build. When it finally hit its stride, it kind of like fell off, got a little stale. Like at one point, I was like, "Wow, this is the build up to the finale." Like I wanted it. It just kind of faltered for me. It's still really good. If you are a fan of Ultraman and you want like really good presentation, so like you like your CG in a sense, it's definitely a right direction of like the quality that can be put into Ultraman. I'm sadly going to have to put this in D tier. Like it just didn't. It faltered. So now, we are going to get Gaia, which is, I really liked the suits because they had black in them finally, and this was probably one of my favorite ones. But from a quality standpoint, it's all right. Uh, because we had two ultras, we had Gaia and Agul that had different point of views of being a hero and what they were fighting for, butting heads constantly, but then it led to them fighting. And another cool thing is we had, from a final fight standpoint, and I'm not gonna ruin it for you. I'm not gonna spoil it because I want you to see it. We had Zog, who had two forms, and their final form of that kaiju for Zog was so good. It was so good. I'm going to be putting Gaia in B tier. It was cool just to see two conflicting, like, Ultraman having their ideals of what they were protecting when it came to Earth. And it was really interesting because it was a long buildup of them just kind of like having that tension and then ultimately them having a fight. Like, it wasn't just, okay, I show up, oh, we don't agree, let's fight. It's like, no, they were kind of antagonizing each other, a little bit of arguments here and there. So the buildup and everything else was really good. Ultraman Neos, I haven't seen this. I know it was on Crunchyroll, and when they had their whole Toku channel within Crunchyroll, and sadly, I never watched it, and then Crunchyroll got rid of it. If it does get a release at some point, I will gladly watch it, because when you think about all these seasons and like all the other like ultra battles and mega ultra battles and stuff like that, getting Blu-ray releases, like the amount of seasons we haven't had Blu-rays for is a lot smaller than what we have released, which is nice. Also, Ultraman Cosmos, another one I have not seen. Also, I'm sure I can find it subbed. I just haven't watched it. Ultraman Nexus. This was a very confusing show, because multiple people could be Nexus, and I get the thematic of like anybody could be a hero, anyone could be Ultraman. I like that, but I didn't finish the show because I didn't care for the suit, like the helmet side of the suit. I didn't care. The chest piece, cool, and so I maybe got like, I didn't even get like halfway through it. I was like, all right, I have it. I will watch it one day. Maybe I'll finish it, but I couldn't. For me, this is E tier. Like that, I put that with Ace. Like, it's just, nah, I can't. It just didn't do it for me. Now, Ultraman Max, I'm probably gonna get some hate for this. All right, and just bear with me. Bear with me. I hate using this term fan service, but Max had so many cameos and callbacks to the Showa era and earlier seasons, and usually I like that because I'm not gonna, but when you're gonna have flashbacks and like cameos and this and that, if they don't care about continuity, it kind of confuses me. But we did get Little Baltan and Dark Baltan, like little Baltan's like a little Baltan like this big. They could teleport, they can possess people and transform into people. It was great. It was hilarious. And Dark Baltan, like, obviously looked cool. We had an updated Red King, and one of my top kaijus, easily in the top 5, Uraga, Eraga, if you want to look it up online. Uraga is such one of my favorites, easily top 5 kaijus in all of Ultraman things. It's just, yeah. So Max, because of that, I'm gonna put Max in B tier, just because even if you don't take continuity into effect, the cameos were cool, the flashbacks, the callbacks, everything about that was cool. So yeah, definitely B tier for me. Now, Ultraman Mebius, I have not seen this. I've seen a couple episodes technically, but not enough to rank it. It is coming out this summer from Mill Creek Entertainment, so when that comes out, I will be watching it. I might do a review for it or something. So, justifiably, I like the suit, but I can't rank it because I have not seen it, and only watching 2 to 3 episodes does not count as seeing it. So, can't do that. Now, we're going into the more modern, like Heisei Phase 2 style stuff. This is where I'm gonna really enjoy talking about stuff. So we're gonna start with Ginga. Dark Lugal is one of the best villains. And the suit, so cool. And honestly, like the latter half, like when you go into like the last like 5 to 6 episodes of Ginga, so good. Like, and I'm going to say Ginga is A tier. Sadly, there is a sequel. Inga S. And I think it's really cool. Like, I thought it was good. I couldn't take Excelsior, the main antagonist villain thing, like, serious with the visual design, like with the lips. I was just like, I can't take it serious. Very good season though. Great follow up to Ginga. And also Ultraman Victory was in this, who, like, Ultraman, like, Ginga S is, I'm going to put in a B tier. Ginga was better. Inga S, though, not bad. It still was good. It gave us, and I want to do just a honorable mention really quick, because it just came out on Blu-ray and it's not on the list. Ultra 7X. It's just a 12 episode retelling of Ultra 7. It's darker, geared towards us, kind of like when they had Kamen Rider Amazons on Amazon Prime. That was like darker, gritty, blood. Ultra 7X definitely was made for adults. I got the Blu-ray. I watched it like in one day because it's just 12 episodes. I just want to say Ultra 7X is in my top 5. It's a must watch, like, especially if you don't need no callbacks or anything else. So it's like easy to just watch 12 episodes. You will enjoy it if you like the darker side of Toku stuff, not so happy-go-lucky and comical. Just pointing that out there. Just want to honorable mention, because if it was in here, it would be S tier. Now, Ultraman X. We're down to what? 6 left. Okay, and no S tiers. I wonder. So Ultraman X, I love the suit. The suit is so clean looking. I just like this. Ultraman X for me is like, that's the evolution of a freaking Ultraman, like, suit design. And obviously, like I said before, ties into Ultra 7. Tons of returning and classic well-known kaijus. We had Dada in there, Demayaga. We had a whole bunch of, callbacks to other Ultraman and this and that. X for me was really good. I'm going to put Ultraman X in A tier. Yeah, it's just good. It's this is around the time that there was like that whole, like, that shared universe, but everything kind of tied into each other to an extent from a ultra multiverse type standpoint. Okay, this will be good. One of the first, when Mill Creek started releasing Blu-rays outside of the Showa stuff, I picked up Orb. And also, Orb had an origin saga. I'm taking all that into consideration. The origin saga is great. The main series is great. I don't even want to talk about the plot, because I think this is like pinnacle Ultraman. This is like a must watch. This should be like, if I was a teacher and I was giving everyone homework for research and be like, all right, we're going to talk Ultraman this semester. Here are your research shows to use. Orb is going to be it. 100%. And for that, Orb, S tier. 100% S tier. Like, it's just too good. And that's all I'm going to say. Watch Orb. And definitely watch the Origin Saga beforehand. Now, Ultraman Jeed. This. The Jeed Riser is one of my favorite henshin devices. And Ultraman Belial is the best part of the show, because he can fuse kaiju capsules, and some of my favorite freaking forms he was using. I was like, oh, this is so good. Jeed is top tier. It really is. And I don't even want it. There's another just like Orb. I'm like, I want everyone to watch Jeed. So I'm not even going to give spoilers. Just Ultraman Belial is amazing, and I'm going to put Jeed in S tier. 100%. That has to go at S tier for me. Now the trend. Also, really, it's also very like, nope, I'm not even gonna say it. I don't want to. Nope, just yeah. Ultraman RB. So if you watch some of my earlier Revice stuff, when they made the announcement and the trailer and everything else, I pointed to some similarities already from a family dynamic standpoint of Revice to Ultraman RB. That's very family orientated. Um, you had two brothers who both were Ultraman RB. They had element style form upgrades like ground and Russo and this and that. Uh, I It was cool because he had two brothers who had a sister, and living with their dad. He has a specialty shop. The humor is kind of cool, and it didn't feel forced. I loved the element type changes. I will say this is, if you want a good Ultraman show with a good story that you can have fun watching, but still has some serious moments and kind of encapsulates all the positive things from Ultraman shows, RB is it. And I will say RB is going to be A tier. I was thinking about putting it S tier, but honestly, I think it's on the cusp between A and S. It just Okay. Ultraman Tiga. Now I haven't seen the main show. Most of my Tiga experience is from the Ultra Galaxy fight stuff. I will eventually watch Tiga. I will say that the Photon Earth armor form is so good because of the black and gold and silver on it, but I have not seen the main show, so I cannot rank it. I can't go based on the character itself from the Ultra Galaxy fight stuff. So we're going to put that in did not watch. And lastly, Ultraman Z. This was really easily accessible thanks to Subaraya putting it on their YouTube channel. The thing about this is the Ultra Metals. It's funny. I was watching, getting the Blu-rays and watch stuff. I didn't know this was being put on YouTube at the time. And then when I was going out Toku toy hunting and figure hunting and stuff like that, I would see the medals in like the candy toy aisle and this and that. And then I was like, oh, what are these new medals? That's pretty cool. Then I looked into it. I feel like Ultraman Z is probably, out of everything, the easiest show as a starting point if you want to get into Ultraman. I will say this: Ultroid Zero, and Destrudos. That final. That's all. I don't want to spoil anything because it's so easy to watch and get into. I don't want to say anything because this is probably the easiest show for everyone to watch and get into. I'm going to say though, for me, outside of a few things, that wasn't my favorite, and I'm probably going to put it in C tier. Just because, it's a good show. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad show, but it's just not. Let's lower this down a bit really quick so I can see everything a little better. So yeah, it's Ultraman Z just for me wasn't doing it. Like especially after watching Jeed and Orb and RB and even Ultraman X, like Z just, I don't know. I just didn't. I personally didn't care for it. Like I said, these are my personal opinions. So obviously everyone's gonna have their own opinions. So quick overview: we have Orb and Jeed as S tier. We have Ultra 7, Tiga, Ginga, Ultraman X, and RB in A tier. In B tier, we have Ultraman 1966, Ultraman Leo, Ultraman Dyna, Gaia, Ultraman Max, and Ultraman Inga S. For C tier, we have Ultraman Charo, Ultraman 80, and Ultraman Z. In D tier, we have the Return of Ultraman and Ultraman Trigger. And in E tier, Ultraman Ace and Ultraman Nexus. Now, obviously, the ones I haven't seen are Neos, Cosmos, Mebius, and Tiga. I will be seeing those at some point, but it is kind of cool looking at this list. And like, when you think about it, there's only 4 main shows I haven't seen for Ultraman. and that's actually pretty damn cool that I've seen that much Ultraman, honestly. But this is my tier ranking. This is it. Let's switch back over. So that is my ranking of all the main Ultraman TV series. I didn't want to do like the movies included or specials like the Ultra Galaxy fight stuff, because they're smaller shows, easy to watch. The movies, I don't want to spoil anything because it's tough to rank, movies without talking about what's in them. I tried to keep the spoilers to a minimum for this because I do want people to watch and enjoy Ultraman. Now, let me know in the comments below, politely, what you think of the rankings. What would be an S tier Ultraman for you? What's an Ultraman you didn't really care for? Obviously, when I did the revised Form 1, people had opinions. But I thank you guys for watching. Like I said in the beginning of the video, hit 500 subscribers. I am appreciative of every single one of you for supporting the channel, watching the videos. Yeah. I don't even know right now. I'm tired too. But I thank you guys for watching. This has been another Ultraman video. I got a lot more coming this month, so if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, like the video, share it out, and I will see you guys in the next video.